With me, we're going to be going over an entire checklist dealing with a rehab property that we are about to close on next week. Now I'm going step by step on exactly what we do. Typically what I do is first when we go to a property, we have what I call the subcontractor inspection report and rehab sheet. We'll go check out a property. It needs a lot of repairs, but how do you get the details? This is behind the scenes of exactly what we do for the details of it. We have the property address, 908 Northwest 8th Street. Then this is version 12 because I've always been working on this. And I go through this and say, okay, what's the square footage of the property? What does it look like? How many square feet is it? How old is the property? And then we go through our planning stage. Our planning stage is, do we need a survey? Is there any kind of easements, energy calculations? What's going on with the property? And then when we're at the property, we start thinking, okay, what can we actually do? Do we remove the windows, the units, replace anything? What's the details that we need to get? Because what matters is in the details. So whenever you're rehabbing properties, this is the item that actually takes the longest, which is going through it line by line by line to figure out exactly what needs to get done. So I've done enough of these to and I'm not saying this is perfect, right? But I've done enough to figure out, like, in the very beginning, there's planning, that's, 0. Then there is your phase 1, which is demo and clean out. So that's basically, now we're coordinating getting a dumpster out there if we're going to do a massive clean out. So we have to say, okay, we got to remove the trash, we've got to cover the windows for safety, because I've had guys break enough glass to figure out we've got to cover all the windows in the beginning. And then so that's putting paper over the windows, make sure everything's secure. And then you're going through the list of what needs to be demoed and what needs to get removed. And then you've got to coordinate that dumpster. These are different individuals also. So usually the dumpster is a different subcontractor. And then you have also a different individual that's stripping everything out. But strategically, you actually do not want to mess this up. So then you also have paint for prep. So now you're pressure washing, painting everything, or prepping everything for paint as well. So that's where what are you doing to the sidings? What's going on? Do you have to put a new deck involved? This is all your paint for prep time frame as well. So each time that we actually have a new rehab or a new property, we have to go through this. Now the catch is, and this is kind of the difficult part, is every single rehab is a little bit different, but the order is pretty much the exact same thing. So the order that I always look for is always going to be phase 1, planning. Then you've got your phase 2, which is also going to be demo and clean out phase, which is right here as well, demo and clean out. Then phase 3, paint prep, going through the entire process. Then this is all for paint prep, because paint prep, you've got to figure out, okay, do I need gutters? Do I need a new roof? This property needs a new roof, so we've got to get that coordinated. But before you get a new roof, you've got to fill out what they call a notice of commencement. Notice of commencement needs to be filled out, turned into the record department. Then after the record department, that has to be complete. Then you've also got, and let me kind of showcase this as well. Give me 1 second. After you paint for prep, then what I was talking before about notice of commencement. So now you've got your notice of commencement that has to be complete. Once you have your notice of commencement turned into the record department, then you have to turn it into the building department. Then they have to approve that. Then you could fill out for a permit. Once you get your permit, then you got to put a permit box on stand, and you got to actually tape the permit to the front to one of the windows as well. And then you're going to be doing whatever is the schedule for your permit, whatever permit that you got. So when it deals with roofing, first you got to strip it off. Once you strip it off, you got to check if there's any kind of sheeting issues that you got to put new sheeting on top of it. Then you got to cover that. But before you cover it, you have to get it inspected, pass that. Then you got to do the sheeting, pass that. Then you can install whatever shingles or roofing material that you're going to be doing. So every single aspect of a rehab takes some time. So when it deals with that, that's why I do everything within phases as well. And your goal is to just work with the same subcontractor so it's as easy as possible. But at the same time too, you don't know how long it's going to take. So your goal is to kind of look at what's your past history, so you could kind of figure out, like, from my past, we did X, and then now it's going to take X amount of time. A lot of individuals who don't have experience when it comes to rehabbing or even new construction don't understand some things are just out of our control. If the inspector is running late, we can't get there. We can't finish a project until the inspector actually inspects certain things that we pulled a permit for, and then we move forward. Materials is always a big thing as well. So if like just yesterday we ordered materials didn't come on time, so now we have to let the subcontractor know. He may wait an entire day because he doesn't want to go on site with his entire crew until all the materials are there, because they just want to get working and not waiting on anything at all. So when you kind of go through this entire list, this is very, very important. So let's go. So if you see here, right here, we already wrote down all the notes dealing with the kitchen. So this kitchen, we're going to change out the magnets, the handles, the hinges, and we're changing out the butcher block as well. We have to get the diameters for the electrical, or not for the electrical, for the island, custom doors, and everything else, and the panels. So then on the outside, what I've seen too is we've got to check out that water spigot. Sometimes they're loose. And so this is all dealing with one section. So within the same section as well, what I call a paint for prep, because you have to prep everything. How big is your flooring? So that's coming through. Your kitchen, your sinks. And I put all these in English and in Spanish. And the main reason why is most of our subcontractors are Spanish. So you've got to put it in both standpoints. What I found is at the end of the day, you've got to make it easy to read for everybody. And so then we also always have a 4-point inspection on all our properties before we start, which that is actually something that was completed already. So this is what that looks like. So in the 4-point inspection, when we go through it, we actually have everything itemized, and we say, okay, what's going on with the roof? So we have to make sure that gets complete. So this is what that looks like. Then you're dealing with also, make sure everything's out of the way here. And then also you've got the pictures as well. So this is why I always like doing a 4-point inspection, so we can kind of go through it, go one by one. And then what we do is we actually have multiple inspections through the project. So in this 4-point inspection, we'll actually double check exactly. So right here, this is all the skirting. All the skirting is going to be replaced. Look how bad that skirting is as well. We've got areas within the siding that needs to be replaced as well. So that's going to be done. So when we get the report, we print it out right here, and then we start tabbing it. And then we start highlighting every single thing that needs to be repaired by that contract, by a contractor. And then what we do is afterwards, we'll bring back the inspector to double check and to say, okay, while we're working on it during it, is this getting done? But remember, we have our own inspection. We have this inspector, third-party inspector. Then we check out the property. We have what they call a blue tape inspection. But first, we have to make sure everything that inspector wants, we're going through on this list as well. So then you're actually getting the work done, calling in for an inspector to make sure during the paint for prep, bring them out there to make sure, is there anything else that we're missing? Are we headed down the right path? Then we're going to be painting. That's phase 3. So phase 3, we're painting, texturing, get everything complete. Then you've got your finish work as well. That's your electrical. Make sure, your knobs, your outlets, your switches. Every single rehab we ever do, we always make sure everything is changed out, brand spanking new. So this is kind of, and then you have your final touches, phase 5, which then we bring that same inspector back out to make sure it's 100% complete the way that he wants. But again, you want to make sure that these inspections are done, and you're going to go in through it line by line by line. And the main reason why that you want to do this, going through these inspection reports, is when you sell the property, or if you're renting it as well. See, we have to fix the AC unit. When you sell the property, you've got to they have to get a mortgage on the property. And what I'm seeing is these mortgage companies now are requiring that your property has to, or the property you're fixing or rehabbing, has to pass an inspection by a third party for them to get insurance. And if they can't get insurance or a mortgage, guess what? You can't sell your property. So every single one of these items has to be taken care of. So I've kind of learned this the super hard way. Hopefully this is helping. This is talking about the vapor barrier as well. We got to make sure that's taken care of and fixed. So little things that has to be done. We want to make sure that nothing is getting missed. So yeah, it's very tedious, but this is what we have to do on every single one of the projects. If again, for me, I personally, I enjoy real estate, but I actually enjoy more mentorship and mentoring other people that are getting into it. So if you're seeing all this and you're like, you're overwhelmed, or if you're a rehabber or you have a property for sale, you could always reach out. I can't say that when it comes down to mentoring others, that's an opportunity that may be there. If it's you're thinking about selling your property as well and you're in the Lakeland area and you're just like, man, I don't want to deal with all this, that's fantastic. You can let me know. But if you do, then I would highly recommend hiring a third-party inspector, RJD Home Inspections. Eric, he's amazing out of Lakeland. And then going through a process that's very similar. I just found it to be probably one of the most efficient ways of doing it. So hopefully this helps. Talk to you guys soon.